Over the last few decades, the study of consciousness, energy healing, and out-of-body exploration has grown into a multi-billion-dollar global industry. These institutions center their philosophy on the idea of a universal human spirit, the belief that our true consciousness exists apart from national identity, language, or the human ego. This message is marketed as an egalitarian truth. It is presented as a discovery that belongs to everyone, regardless of where they were born. The consumer is presented with a vision of spiritual unity that promises to dissolve all geopolitical boundaries. Yet the operational footprint of these organizations often stands in direct opposition to their borderless teachings. Behind the rhetoric, global spiritual research frequently functions as a centralized corporate strategy. Multinational institutes analyze target markets, weigh profit margins, and maintain tight control over their content. Researcher and out-of-body explorer محمد العمصي spent years engaging with these systems, only to find a persistent pattern of gatekeeping within Western spiritual organizations. In practice, the universal spirit functions as exclusive cultural property, a resource that stops abruptly at specific geographical borders. Al-Amasi attempted to establish accredited training centers and equal partnerships between the Arab world and major spiritual institutions in the United States and Brazil. These proposals were met with total silence, administrative delays, or highly lopsided conditions that favored the Western hubs. The translation market reveals this problem. Western centers accept unpaid linguistic labor from Arab researchers, making the exchange a one-way street. Once completed, institutes restrict publishing rights, preventing researchers from distributing the work to their own communities. By securing the labor while withholding the output, these centers maintain a global monopoly over how spiritual knowledge is shared. This gatekeeping aligns with a broader tendency in the West to view the Islamic world, India and China, through the lens of colonial-era stereotypes. Western gatekeepers assume these regions are too intellectually backward for consciousness study, an image that collapses against the hypermodern reality of cities like Shanghai. This exposes the so-called illusion of enlightenment. Practicing meditation or energy healing does not automatically erase a person's ingrained cultural prejudices. An individual can experience profound, altered states of consciousness, yet return to operate an institution defined by greed and racial bias. Spiritual terminology provides an attractive branding for what remains conventional corporate discrimination. Relying solely on the translation of imported Western systems has become a trap for non-Western researchers. This dependency model forces native thinkers into a subordinate role, where they must constantly seek validation from foreign hubs that do not understand their culture. These regions have their own intellectual foundations. The Arab and Islamic worlds possess a long history of philosophical and psychological inquiry into the nature of the self. This manuscript illustrates a systematic approach to botany and spiritual study that predates modern Western centers by centuries. It is part of a deep tradition of Sufism and mysticism that already explored the mind and imagination. Real independence requires researchers to build upon these existing foundations, rather than acting as perpetual students of the West. Development in this field requires non-Western regions to begin producing their own original spiritual research. Independent initiatives like Mindscape aim to create contemporary, non-dogmatic Arab foundations for consciousness study, establishing their own terminology and training systems. The goal is to reach the global table and exchange knowledge as intellectual equals. Universal consciousness will only be realized when all regions are respected as active contributors, rather than being treated as profitable consumer markets.